It's about 5 a.m. when I woke up. I tried to do my daily routine, basically before work. And after doing so, I then realized that as soon as I did go back to my room just to make sure that I'd done everything I had to, especially cleaning it, I realized that the window was open, ajar. Like, I'd opened it and maybe forgot to close it, but I didn't remember that specifically. I then took one look at my TV, and I switched it on. There was a local news report, something about a crazed maniac that had escaped from some kind of asylum. Obviously, it didn't really affect me, or so I thought. So I went on with my day as normal. Got back from work after about 6 or 7 hours, and eventually I decided to kick back and relax, as I would. Everything was fine, nothing really out of the ordinary, aside from, again, a window being opened when I thought it was already closed. This time it was my front window downstairs, next to the front door. I took one look out of it, and I only saw a few people walking back from wherever. Nothing really of great interest. So I closed it, thinking nothing of it. A few hours pass, and I find myself getting tired, so I decided to go pretty much just to bed and blow this whole thing off. Now, before I did, I had this really strange but unhealthy habit of using my phone before bed. And that being said, I tried to make it a habit not to use it every time I go to bed, but the temptation of seeing new notifications just brought me to that sense of missing out on something. But that may have just saved my life. I checked the notifications and noticed that on Twitter, some strange man apparently had done something pretty crazy in my local area. Now that piqued my interest. As soon as I saw the notification and the thread about it, I immediately thought back to the news report from not long ago, this morning as a matter of fact. And call it paranoia, but I kept looking at all my windows. I even went downstairs for a brief moment to peer at the ones down there, but they were all closed. Now, I had my suspicions, and I also thought that maybe, just maybe, there was something bigger at play here. I did have a basement. My house was the only house that actually had it, and I knew for a fact that one of the windows in my house was broken. The basement window. My mind frantically thought about it, and as soon as I, started panicking, first thing I did was run down there, only to see the same wide open window that led into the basement. It was dark. I couldn't see anything, and part of me didn't want to see anything. Now, there was a chain light on the wall which I could pull, but I didn't want to see what would be waiting for me on the first step. So, I backed up and closed the door, and was instantly greeted by the sound of footsteps moving up. At this point, I think my entire life flashed before my eyes. I was just in shock, and I actually opened the door ready to face the thing when there was nothing there. I stood there for a few minutes, paralyzed with fear, to be honest. Was all of that just some kind of figment of my imagination? Or what? Was this some kind of dream or nightmare? Couldn't be. But then again, I couldn't pinch myself, so maybe I was lucky. Or so I thought. I heard a scream from behind me in the kitchen. I looked behind me, finally regaining control of my body, but nothing. I then looked at the basement. Nothing. I then looked around the entirety of my house, looking for something, anything that could explain this thing, and that's when I saw it. On the second floor, my bedroom window, someone was staring in.